Hello, hello. Let's make a video in English. I have written uh, some things here, and I'd like to read because I'm terrible speaker, and I have to. I have to write everything before I speak. Let's talk about diversity. There is a scientific argument for diversity. Diversity is absolutely necessary for life to thrive. Without diversity, living beings eventually end up dying. If all human beings were genetically the same, we would all be equally weak to a common threat. For example, the Black Death killed 60% of the European population in the Middle Ages, but 40% survived because they were genetically immune. Without diversity, humanity would be extinct long ago. With enough diversity, there will always be people able to survive, no matter the threat. Diversity is the key for humanity's long-term survival and prosperity. I wrote this article about diversity because I believe it's important to talk about diversity because we have so many news about discrimination, racism. People discriminate against other people because of race and because of political or ideological differences. But it's not a good thing for everybody to be the same. People should not be the same. Diversity is important, biologically speaking. There is a biological reason for diversity. Diversity is the key, not only humanity, but all living beings to survive and thrive and prosper and spread. Without diversity, living beings end up going extinct. Eventually they become extinct without diversity. People need to be different because people are different. There's always a chance that someone will be able to survive. Because living beings are trying to survive. That's the quest for all living beings, not just humans. All living beings are trying to survive, and the living beings are trying to propagate, to reproduce, to leave as many offspring as possible. And living beings are trying to survive, but in order to survive, we need to have diversity, because for example, if there is a threat that kill some people everybody were the same, genetically the same, everybody would end up dying. Nobody would be able to survive because everybody is equally weak. The fact that everybody is different gives a chance. It means that some people will be able to survive. Will be different. We have some characteristics, some qualities that enables them to survive, no matter the threat. So diversity is important for life to survive, and we need to embrace diversity as human beings. We should not try to force other people to be the same. We should not force the entire population, for example, of a country to be exactly the same, to follow the same rules, to follow the same regulations. There must be flexibility and the freedom to try new things and allow people to be different. We have to allow diversity, allow people to be different, allow to have different ideas, different ways of life, different ways of living, different styles. Because that's the key for prosperity, for development, for betterment of humanity. Okay. Let's talk about another article. I also wrote another article about age of consent. So, why are people arrested for having sex if the sex is consensual? If the sex is consensual, it's not rape, so it should not be considered a crime. The age of consent should be lowered. 18 is too high. Most teenagers are already sexually active at the age of 15, even younger. I don't see any scientific reason to set the age of consent so high. If the sex is not consensual, then it should be considered rape, regardless of the age. But if the sex is consensual, what is the problem? If both partners are healthy with no contagious diseases, and if they practice safe sex with appropriate contraceptives, what is the problem? Teenagers should learn about sex as soon as they reach puberty. They should receive sex education, learn about safe sex, know how to use contraceptives to avoid an unplanned pregnancy or STDs. And they should have sex with adults or other teenagers in order to acquire experience. I wrote this article because I saw a video, a news story about a woman, a 27-year-old woman, the teacher, that had sex with a teenager, a 17-year-old teenager, and she was arrested because of that, because the teenager was a minor, and according to the law in the United States, and most of the world actually, adults are not allowed to have sex with minors. And I started to think about it, and I think it's excessive. It's not really reasonable. I think such kind of things should not be considered a crime, in my opinion, at least. And especially about the age of consent. The age of consent in most countries, apparently, I believe, is set to 18 years old. But I think that 18 years old is too high. Most teenagers now reach puberty very early, very young, at about 12, 13 or 14 years old. So, in my opinion, the age of consent should be lowered and allow teenagers, because teenagers already have sex. If not with adults, they will have sex among each other, among other teenagers. So they are already having sex for the most part, I believe. And the fact that they cannot have sex with adults, even though they are already sexually active, I don't know. I don't understand the reason. Why is it a crime for adults to have sex with teenagers? What is the scientific reason for that? The scientific reason to set, for example, the age of consent to 18. 18 years old, I think it's too high. I think it should be lowered. Here in Japan, I believe the age of consent is 12, I think. Very low. It's the lowest in the world. But because in the cities and individual states are allowed to have their own legislation, in practice, I think the age of consent here in Japan is 18, because the states they have their own laws, and the law takes precedence over the federal law. Apparently, I don't know exactly how it works, but apparently that's how it works. So in practice, the age here in Japan is 18, I think. But in my opinion, that's too high.